Mitt the Michigan Mouse, Chapter 15, Devil's Soup Bowl. So I just wanted to show you before we get into our chapter where Mr. Mitt the Mouse is. He's down here in Dearborn, which is where Greenfield Village is. And remember, his home is way up here in Sheboygan. So he's a really long way from home. All right, here we go. Chapter 14, The Devil's Soup Bowl. The farmer was delivering hay on his weekly route to Grand Rapids. My lands, Grand Rapids is way over here. So he's going to be going from Dearborn here all the way here to Grand Rapids. And when the truck stopped, Mitt was scooped out as fast as he had been scooped in. Mitt was sitting on top of the mound of hay outside a dairy barn trying to get his bearings when he realized he wasn't alone. There were two other stowaways in the hay. Their names were Scaldy and Scully, and they had been riding along with Mitt. They had come from a pond at the outskirts of Detroit and knew the farmer made regular trips with his hay. They were tired of the noise and the cars and wanted to build a new lodge on the Muskegon River, where it was quiet and peaceful. Scaldy and Scully knew where they were going, so Mitt, being all by himself, thought he would follow along until he thought of a new plan. But as Mitt scrambled off the hay to begin the journey, he felt something wasn't quite right. But what was it? The gang of Norway rats had been watching the arrival of the hay. The leader was Borg, and he was as mean as he was big. As Mitt and Scaldy and Scully made their way under the fence, Borg and the other rats followed behind. Each had a tail that was naked and long. Each had hairless ears and a large appetite for mice. Walking along, Mitt told the others about his mitten and quest for home. The forest reminded him of the hollowed-out spruce tree, and it made him think about Inger and her birthday party. How it seemed like such a long time ago, he thought. "Did you say something, Scaldy?" "Shh, I didn't say anything, Scully." "Shh, I hear something," said Scully. The animals began to run, rustling through the forest on top of the snow. But soon they came to a spot where they could go no more. It was a large canyon in the forest. It was not a canyon made of stone, but rather of sand and trees. It was wide and deep, and Mitt could not even see to the bottom. There were broken logs and fallen branches poking through the snow. And as the trio stood at its edge, they heard a dark voice speak from behind. "It's the Devil's Soup Bowl, you know. Won't you jump in?" The rats, showing their full teeth, were standing right behind them. The three backed up very slowly until they were on the edge of the bowl. "My, what do we have here?" asked Borg. Borg, with one ear half chewed off and most of his tail missing, counted Mitt and Scaldy and Scully. 1, 2, 3 little mice. "I think we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner." Borg took a step towards Mitt and scraped his long fingertip underneath the mouse's chin. Mitt stepped backwards, sending him over the edge and rolling into the Devil's Soup Bowl. Mitt tumbled down the slope like a stone, spinning and turning while Borg ran after him. Chapter 16, Thule's Return. Mitt tumbled down, trying to grasp any root or branch in his path, but he was going much too fast to do so. Borg was only a breath behind when Garoo-ah! Mitt was in the clutches of a bird sailing high up and over the forest. Mitt was dangling by his shoulders when he heard a familiar voice tell him to stay really still. It was Thule, his old friend. "I said I would bring you home, little one, and I will indeed see that you get home to your mitten." "Thule, what about my friends?" asked Mitt. Thule answered, "There were other cranes along with me, and they will make certain those Norway rats do not bother your friends again, ever again." Mitt let out a sigh of relief as they coasted above the snow-crusted fields. They followed the Thornapple River north, watching herds of white-tailed deer browsing on twigs and dry grasses, and wild turkeys scratching and pecking into the snow. Thule kept her northerly course until they reached the Grand River, and Mitt watched as they gave way to gentle moon-shaped swales and ponds filled with Canadian geese. From the air, they looked like small gray clouds floating up the water. Mitt was thankful that Thule had remembered him and was happy to be heading north. It was a long trip to Grand Haven along the shores of Lake Michigan. They were following the rolling sand shores near Muskegon when Thule began to fly downward. She allowed herself to crest up over a snowy sand hill before landing among a stand of wild beach grass and sea oats, and had turned golden brown for the winter. They were a bit north of Muskegon now, and Mitt did not know why Thule had stopped. "Mitt," said Thule, "I'm going to take you to meet a very special friend of mine. Her name is Elsa, and she is a caretaker for the White River Light Station just up ahead. She will see to it that you get home to northern Michigan and your mitten." Here's a picture. Mitt did not understand. "Thule," he said, "I thought you were going to take me home." "I am trying," she said, "but I am very tired, and the journey this year has proven to me that I am now old and slow. I'm afraid I might not make it, and I want to make sure that you will. Elsa will get you home, I promise." With that, Mitt climbed back onto Thule's back and bedded down in the downy underside of her dense feathered robe. It was here that Mitt felt certain Thule wouldn't hear him cry. So now they're north of Grand Rapids. So here's Grand Rapids. They're up into Grand Haven is here, and then north of Muskegon. So they're up towards Pentwater and Ludington area. So he's getting closer, isn't he?